Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons. Sign up for the Shannons Club. Kenworth Trucks Australia. Pace Farm Eggs. And Holden Certified Service AC Delco Parts. I'm inside the incredible Building T, the fairgrounds here at Carlisle Events. Mopar was always known for their outlandish colours, and this weekend Building T is going to come alive, where some of the nation's finest examples will feature in the high impact paint display. Part of the reason why Building T looks as good as it does is because of the signs. So we've got to give this guy a bit of a plug here. Fred's Legendary Signs. He's done an awesome job here at the Carlisle Chrysler Nationals for 2024. Here we go. This is day 2 of the 2024 Carlisle Chrysler Nationals, and of course celebrating the 50th anniversary of Carlisle Events. In the department of cool. How you doing, Kyle?
Not too bad, Fletch. How are you?
Great. 1961 Phoenix. This is an incredible car.
It sure is, yeah. 1 year only.
How cool is the shape? Like, they only, ran for 1 year.
No, the Dart ran initially in 1960, and then they redesigned it for 61, and this is what they came up with.
Now, interesting as well, you say it's a Dart, yet it's got Phoenix on the badge.
Right. Phoenix was the trim level of the Dart that this particular one was. She had Seneca, Pioneer, and then Phoenix on top of that. Right. Phoenix being the top level.
We've got a 2-door car here. The shape of it is just an outstanding and a different shape. I've got to comment on the rear screen. I love how that back piece of glass rakes up into that roofline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a big piece of glass, the way it just kind of lays along the roofline there.
Okay, engine up front. What's going on there, Kyle?
Under the hood's the early A-block 318 polyhead that they call it.
Yeah. And aesthetically, too, they're huge. They're almost like the size of a Hemi.
Oh, for sure, yeah, it's awfully wide. Well, in fact, the heads were designed after a Hemi. Rather, instead of one rocker or 2 rockers like the Hemis have, the Polys have 1. A little bit cheaper to manufacture.
Kyle, looking at features of the car, 1961 breakthrough in design. We've come out of the 50s with the high hoods. We've gone lower. Kind of like, if I may say, the early Ford Falcon of the same era. Took on the same approach, although a smaller car, the metal grille as well, and that slimline type of look. But looking inside the car with the speedometer and the natural light filtering through, that's pretty cool.
It is, yeah. It's set up above the dash, using ambient light from the outside just to illuminate it from the backside.
What happens at night time with headlights?
It is underlit as well. So it shines up from underneath, and you'll still get some light from headlights coming as well.
This is interesting as well. We hear of the forward look cars, the shape, the styling that Chrysler adapted in the late 50s, the look of forward motion, and that flowed into the early 60s, right?
61 is considered the last of the forward look cars, I believe. It's one of the last designs Virgil Exner really was able to execute. They did keep some of the front end parts on this onto the custom 880 to 62, but other than that, it's probably like the last of the quote-unquote forward-look cars.
It's the diversity, it's the variety. If you're going to see something different, you'll definitely see it here at Carlisle. Thank you very much, Kyle.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Fletch.
It's almost hard to believe that I'm standing pretty well in the centre of 8,000 potential vendor spaces. And no matter what the Carlisle event, be it Ford, General Motors or Chrysler, this place here fills up with all things automotive, to the point where it's almost beyond comprehension. It really is a sight to be seen. Moving on through as we do, and it's time for Fury Jim. How you doing, sir?
Very good, Fletch. How are you?
Good, thank you. Tell us about the car behind us here.
The car behind us is named Darlene. She was born a 57 Savoy and now presents herself as a 58 Belvedere, and right now is the only vehicle outside of a 2023 Demon to be powered by the SRT Demon 170, 1,025 horsepower, E85 supercharged Hemi.
Jim, what was the condition of this car like before you did what you did to it?
When I bought it back in 2001, it was essentially a flat black 57 Savoy. The body wasn't terrible. It had had some sins that were hidden over the years. Not a lot of rust, but it did have floor patches, trunk patches. It did require a full rotisserie body restoration to become a car of the caliber that it is now. What
you've done with the car is good in terms of there's some stuff that you have kept original in stock as well. So aesthetically, it's still a beautiful looking 57. When we look at the shape of the rear of these cars with the tail lights, the design, what you've done to the interior as well, we look across the dash, it's essentially not too far removed from how it would have looked when it was new.
And that was my goal, to build a high horsepower, modern performing vehicle while maintaining an exterior appearance that is essentially 1958. Right. The exterior of the car now is adorned with my reproduction sport tone inserts and essentially all 58 Belvedere trim. The only giveaway is that it is a 57 is the stainless windshield trim, which has 3 bars instead of a single. And the hubcaps are 71 Plymouth Fury that are reminiscent of a 58 Plymouth, but we had to run 15-inch wheels to accommodate tires that will handle that level of horsepower and run 12-inch rotor disc brakes.
You've got best of both worlds with what you've done here, the formula, the recipe that you've come up with, and it's worked.
It has, and one of the focal points of this build is everybody asks, why didn't you run the Demon dashboard? Why didn't you run the 8-speed automatic? Because then I should have just bought a Demon. Yeah, true. I built a 65 727, so with 1,025 horsepower, I'm still pushing buttons to go into drive and reverse and neutral.
Tell us the deal with the car next to us here, Jim, because I know you've done a lot of work there as well.
Last year I debuted my 58 Fury named Eva, and it's a Plum Crazy purple, 300D powered 4-speed car that has a rich history itself. A close friend of mine almost died in the vehicle during a crash. It was essentially totaled, and all I really used of the original Eva, as he named it, is the roof, the driver's quarter panel, and driver's door. It took 3 additional bodies to reconstruct this car to once again become a rust-free body. Yeah.
Have you always been a forward-look guy with your choice of vehicles with the Mopar?
Not my entire life. I was born and brought home in my mother's 71 Chevelle, so I was a GM guy until about 7 years old when I first discovered a 57 Fury in town. And from there I was sold, and I was forward look from then on.
Did the movie Christine have an effect on you?
It definitely helped, but I didn't see that until I was about 13 years old.
I'm sure you can tell the attention to detail, the level of refinement, the workmanship that Jim puts into these cars is absolutely fantastic. Jim, thank you for attributing for the Carlisle Chrysler Nationals 2024, helping to make this event what it is. This is brilliant stuff.
Thank you, Fletch. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I spend a lot of time out here. The RT Charger's the real deal. An E49. Remember A-Charger? I've always got projects on the go, so Shannon's laid-up cover helps protect my restorations. I'm Mopar through and through. It's a passion Shannon's understands. I wouldn't insure my cars and bikes with anyone else.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
When it comes to cars, there are some brands that will remain with us forever, no matter what. The Holden was always Australia's own car, held high in the hearts of many. Those lines, that chrome, the stories around them, and the people that owned them. From the classic through to the final, you can still trust in genuine Holden and AC Delco parts, available through the Holden Certified Service Network.
Your story began in 1971. It's part of an endless tapestry that tells the story of our nation. It connects innovators to artisans, forests to houses, from the largest of operations to the smallest of outcomes. It's heritage. It's a legacy.
One of my favourite attractions here at the Chrysler Nationals would have to be the Mopar Survivors Tent, where cars in there are original or are very close to. Can you believe this? An original 1970 Plymouth Superbird. How are you, Bob?
Fletch, I'm great. I mean, come on, how could you not be? I own a Superbird.
This is amazing. Original paint. It's a column automatic. 440 up front, of course.
Yeah.
And what more can you tell us, Bob?
Well, the car sat on a showroom floor in Ohio, and it sat there unsold like many of these cars. Then they sold it, and then they had to repossess it. They put it back on the showroom floor. They lost the Chrysler Plymouth franchise and converted to a John Deere farm implement franchise. So then it sat on the showroom floor of a John Deere farm implement. Now, I've always said I really need to put a hay baler behind this thing.
It's amazing. These things have always fascinated me, these wing cars. And back in the day, Chrysler went to the missiles department of the government to get the styling. They wanted to know, how do we shape a car that can do these speeds? And the guys in the missile department, oh, well, you got to put a nose cone on it, put a wing on it. And that's how one guy explained it to me. And when I look back at that, to think what that era must have been like, what an exciting time.
Well, you're right. They hired those guys from World War II, the missile designers in World War II, and you hit it on the head. These were the guys that put them in wind tunnels, so these were where they learned about wind resistance in the wind tunnels, and that's why they were such a winner during that time.
And the wing in the back had to be so tall because, well, for the public to open the trunk lids, they had to be a certain height.
And to get it up there in clean air coming off the car at the high speeds. A good friend of mine's a guy named Charlie Glotzback. He's recently passed. Charlie drove these cars. And I'm going to give you a quote. It wasn't asked for, but it's great. I asked Charlie one time, he's from my town, I said, Charlie, what's it like driving one of these cars at 200 miles an hour? He had one word, boring. And that's not the word I expected. I said, what do you mean, boring? He said, Bob, there's so much downforce, you can let go of the steering wheel and it'll straighten itself out at 200 miles an hour.
That's amazing. 200 miles an hour, work that out in the Ks. That's a lot of speed.
320 Ks.
320 kilometres an hour. Now, I might be wrong here, don't quote me, but Richard Petty, around 214 miles an hour back in the day, NASCAR.
Yeah.
We're talking 15-inch steel wheels as well, 214 miles an hour.
Scary stuff, isn't it? Think about that. At least they weren't these bias-ply tires, but I've driven these cars on the racetrack, but there ain't any way I'm driving that fast.
Bob, it's been wonderful meeting up with you.
Fletch, I appreciated it. And for all our Aussie friends, thank you guys for watching.
That's okay. This is, as I mentioned earlier, it's a very special part of Carlisle Events here at the Chrysler Nationals, the Survivors Tent. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like the nursing home, you know, where all the old cars are parked up, you know, and original cars. And if they have had some stuff done to them, it hasn't been much.
Yeah. The Survivors Tent, you are required to have 85% original paint. This one is 100% original paint, but they're very careful. The Survivor means it has not been restored. So
it's been a pleasure, Bob. Thank you. Thank you. The Survivors Tent, it's the sort of place you come into, it's very hard to leave. How are you, Harry?
I'm fine, Fletch. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
That's good. Now, you've got a very special car here. Every car in here is special. You might like to tell us, how many owners has this car had?
I'm the original owner. I ordered it in '69. I've had it for, 54 years.
So what age were you there in '69 when you bought your brand new car?
Probably in my 20s, like early 20, I think I was, 20, 21.
What a car. We're looking at a 1970 Plymouth GTX 440 six-pack car. That's amazing. I'm astounded that you've gone all these years and you've done nothing to it. You've left it as an original car.
I liked the way it looked and the color and everything, because I picked all the colors out and all that. And I didn't see anything changing.
Yeah.
Because...
You were happy from day one.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I was.
Yeah. And from a performance standpoint, you've got the 727 torque flight there. Obviously, that too, you've always been happy with the way the car has performed.
Oh, yes. It went fast enough that I liked it anyways, I'll tell you that.
I love the interior as well. You've kept that immaculate over the years. How nice does the white look in contrast with the blue?
When I was in Georgia, everybody had black interior, and it was hot down there in the service. The black interior always split, cracked and everything. The white didn't seem to, so that's why I ordered white. Again,
to contrast with the white, just the right amount of wood grain trim across the top of the doors as well. It's a really, really smart looking interior. The GTX was very pronounced. I love the badging on the side there, yes, and the little fake scoop there as well. They're just a real cool looking car, aren't they?
Yeah, I thought it was. That's why I liked it, because I was going to buy a 69, but my father talked me into waiting until the 70s come out, and I'm glad I did, because I like them even better than the 69s. So that's why I got this one.
Well, Harry, it's great to see you here. You've got your son and also his son. You've got your grandson here as well. And I know he admires the car, and that's fantastic. That's the next generation coming through. That's right. We need that, right?
Absolutely, because a lot of people, after a while, sell the car, and the kids don't know anything about it. But all my kids are pretty sharp on this car.
They've got a pretty cool pop.
Well, I don't know about that, but they might not think so. I don't know.
Well, Harry, thank you very much for your time here on this episode of Classic Restos here for the 2024 Carlisle Chrysler Nationals, and also as well in parts of with your career as well. Thank you for your service.
Oh, you're very welcome.
When I was a kid, I loved cars, still do. The 57 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham was the most advanced car in the world. Cost more than a Rolls. Hand-built with a stainless steel roof, cruise control, electric seats, and would you believe, air suspension. American iron. It's a passion Shannons understand. That's why they insure my daily drive, the caddy, my bike, even the house.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
They may not be making the classic Holden anymore, but the legacy lives on. You can still have a Holden certified service using genuine Holden and AC Delco quality parts at over 180 centres across Australia. Go to holden.com.au to find your nearest centre. Book your Holden in, maintain the pride. And of course, if you own a classic bike, a classic car or a classic truck, it just has to be insured with these guys. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. And keep in mind too that the Shannons Club awaits you. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. It's Sunday, day 3 of the 2024 Carlisle Chrysler Nationals, and one Fletch fave here on the grounds has to be the buildings. I'm standing outside of Building Y, and why not? Because inside we have the A12 cars and their celebration 55 years from 69 through to 2024. Not sure what an A12 is? Let's go in, take a closer look. The reason that I've chosen Henry for the interview is that his father's name is Henry as well. Obviously Henry Sr. and Henry Jr. And his father is the original owner of this 1969 Super B behind us. But it's not just that. It's not just the original owner, although that's very significant. The car itself has an amazing story. Would you like to share that with us?
Yes, sir. So in the beginning, they pulled 2 R4 red 383 Super Bs off the assembly line. They were working to achieve the drag racing theme to compete with Ford and Chevy naturally, and this car was created to do that. The automatic and the 4-speed both had different camshafts, carburation packages, hood fitted to the car, both of which were R4 red. The engineer assigned to the program was given the option to drive the automatic or the 4-speed. He chose to drive the 4-speed. So the automatic was destroyed, never made it to the public. The 4-speed at that point was painted the butterscotch over top of the red in order to get the color in the public's eye, because it was a special order color in 1969 and it was going to be available in 1970. The car was also displayed at the International Car Show. During that time, the executive from Dodge put 2,500 miles on the car. It was also featured in High Performance Cars 1969, where it was the first color article at that time of a Dodge product within that magazine. When he was finished with that program, the car was auctioned to dealers. The dealership that won the car was in Towson, Dodge. My father, Henry Sr., at that point, and for 43 years, drove a uniform truck service in dealerships and mechanical and businesses. That was one of his stops. So at that point, my father owned a 67 Corvette 383 car, 4-speed. My mother did not have her license. My brother and I were starting to play ball, and my mother suggested that he go buy a family car and get rid of his hot rod. So he traded in a 67 383 4-speed car and brought home the Super Bee that is behind us from the dealership, which is a 69 440 6-pack Dana rear lift-off hood option car.
And I'm sure your mum would have loved that.
That was the last check in 62 years that my father wrote within the marriage, to be perfectly honest with you. The reins have been pulled tight on Pop, but it was...
What a story.
Yes, sir. It's a decision that we're very grateful for. Our family is very blessed. We've met so many people along the way.
These cars were referred to as street cleaners. They were powerful cars. When you look at 390 horsepower from the factory and 490 foot-pounds of torque, all in at 3,600 RPM, you do the math on that. That's a powerful car.
Yes, sir, it was. It did very well. My father dubbed the car street cleaner with a little man pushing a broom in November of '69, about a month after he bought the car.
Henry, you restored the car in what year?
So I restored the car from 1994 to 1999. I bought the parts starting in 1984 and the last one in 1999.
But this is a concourse restoration. This could have come out of a panel shop, a paint shop, 6 months ago. I would not be able to tell. Yes. The way that you have restored this back to period correct, we see red around the engine bay. We see red just inside the wheel arches. You've duplicated the original car to absolute perfection. And to think that the car was once red and then the butterscotch over the top, that's these stories just never end. We've got a 440 car, 3 2-barrel Holy Carbs, a Dana rear end or a Dana, depends what side of the bridge you're from, how you pronounce that, right. And 410 gears. That's quarter mile stuff, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is. Here we have a picture of Mom and Dad that back in 1969. This is Dad out back of a warehouse. They're changing some tires and dropping the exhaust, doing some street racing down Patapsco Extension. While the car was being serviced for a race, it was stolen from the dealership. At what time it was wrecked, and we had to go to the impound yard to pick the car up. This is me at the impound yard. Dad dubbed the car street cleaner in 1969. I have a picture here of my mom with a beehive on the car in 1970. As I got my driver's license, I encouraged my father to get the car back out and allow me to take it to high school. In 1994, we started the restoration. The restoration went just like it was assembled. The entire car was done in red, stripped, put back in red. Once the car was ready and painted in red, I then took the car home and assembled the car in the red color, undercoated the car, used the plating from many resources and the grills and the valances from here within Carlisle, the different people I'd met, undercoating the car in a one-car garage. And then we took the car after it was assembled, where the body shop then prepped the car and put the butterscotch over top of the red, just as the manufacturer did when they were doing a quick over paint job. So this is the first time my dad had seen his car restored. This is in 1996. After that, it took me to 1999 to finish my restoration. And we debuted in Englishtown, New Jersey in 1999. And then the pictures of the car as it sat ready for show, heading to Chrysler Carlisle in 1999, where it debuted in Building T of that year.
This is an incredible car. Thank you for your time. You're the interview for the A12 display here, and of course celebrating from 1969 through to 2024, 55 years, and to think how mighty these products were over half a century ago. What an incredible time. Thanks very much, Henry.
Fletch, we thank you very much for all you do for us.
We are not allowed in with our car. Let's start our own car show with the words and thoughts of Bill and Chip Miller 50 years ago. Sometimes in life, some of the greatest achievements can come about from such simple decisions, and of course, the right timing. Carlisle Events is a big family. You aren't a stranger here at Carlisle Events, you are a friend they have just met. Over 10 major events happen here each year. Ford, General Motors, Chrysler, trucks, and more. Carlisle Events hosts some of the largest, most comprehensive events in the world. Each event is run by the professional team from Carlisle Events. They know how to run them. Carlisle Events stands for the cars, the people, and the excitement. Find out more at carlisleevents.com. And I hope you've really enjoyed what you have just seen. Until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, signing off from Carlisle, Pennsylvania, United States of America. Thanks for watching.
You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au.
Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons. Sign up for the Shannons Club, Kenworth Trucks Australia, Pace Farm Eggs, and Holden Certified Service AC Delco Parts.